When I say the name Azealia Banks, you'll probably think of many things. Now, me in particular, I think of this clip.
One of our interns here, she said that you make music for gays.
I do.
I'm not the intern. I mean, she looked at.
Or when she said,
Your wife can't read.
Oh wait, and then I think about Chicken Gate, where she slaughtered chickens in her closet for 3 years, doing black magic, and she decided to show the world on Instagram. I was sitting here the other day wondering, why is Azealia Banks the way that she is? Why is someone who has been so talented, someone who's worked with Kanye, someone who's worked with Pharrell, why does she say the things that she does, and why does she do the things that she does online? I searched through media and articles and interviews, and I think I got to one interview in particular with The Breakfast Club from 2018, where I feel like it does sort of help us understand who she is as a person and why she says the things that she says, even though they are the most demeaning, vile things that she constantly will never ever take accountability for. This interview did go viral, and it has gone viral over the years. It's about 5 years old. You probably have seen this clip.
Yeah, like that with the head. Yep, exactly. Yep.
Go like this.
And this clip.
So,
No, I'm saying
what now?
I mean, it's not specifically.
The interview is 40 minutes long, which is a lot of segments, but luckily you have me. Hi everyone, my name is Cam. Welcome back to my channel where we discuss viral moments and pop culture online. And in this video, we're gonna take a deep dive into the interview from The Breakfast Club with Azealia Banks. And we're gonna hopefully get to the bottom of whether we think Azealia Banks is truly misunderstood, or is she just the person that we all thought she was? Let's go ahead and get into the video. Azealia started off the interview by basically telling everyone she believes she gives off the vibe of a dorky black girl. She doesn't feel like she fits in with other people, and you do get this sense that she's felt some sort of way about this outsiderness since she was a young girl growing up in New York.
I feel like the art school girl in, like, I don't know how to say it without sounding really ignorant, but
Just say it. Speak freely.
I just feel like that dorky black girl who everyone thinks is kind of weird.
She feels like she puts art above most things, which is going to explain a lot of her antics. And we'll see her say this time and time again throughout this interview, that the true purpose and the true meaning of a lot of what she says is more bigger picture. It's not in the finer details and the things that she's regularly canceled for. This helps to sort of explain the reasons why she is constantly having feuds about other artists and why she takes things to a personal level. To her, art is above everything else, which you can see in this clip here.
Okay, but the fact that you're focused on what the fuck I have to say about this bitch saying that she's a runaway slave master, you know what I mean? And that's really what you're attacking me for? That's really, like, think about it. You have no other reason to come at me. Aside from the fact that I said something about her calling herself a runaway slave master, and the bitch so comfortably did a whip motion in the video. She was like, runaway slave master. Oh!
Preserving a sort of quality and talent, it's just fair game because she considers the artists unqualified for their level of success. In the beginning of the interview, they really did light into some of these questions that they've had and that other people have had that haven't gotten the opportunity to ask her on camera. One thing that I noticed is when she's usually answering questions about why did you say this? Why did you do this? What is going on with you? She'll usually take two separate approaches. Her first approach is people take things way too seriously. Everyone picks and chooses what they really want to focus on and they want to cancel the person for. There's other people who say similar things that she has in the past, and she is the one that gets canceled for it.
I don't know why. A lot of my opinions are terrible. You know, like, you really should not subscribe to the shit I'm saying.
But people do, you know.
Why?
Cause they're so attached to some of the people that you talk about or that you leave comments about.
That's their problem, not my problem.
Can I use that excuse? Can I say, why do y'all care about my opinions?
And then her second approach is she doesn't really understand why everyone cares so much about what she says, because she's not a super serious person, and the real serious meaning behind what she's talking about tends to get lost because of the things that she says. So she believes that she has sort of a bigger picture purpose in saying a lot of the things that she says, and she doesn't feel like her message should get lost just because she calls Lizzo fat.
Say that.
So what? I said it. So fucking what? I said it. Who cares? That's my point. Why do people care? Like, I still can't understand why people
But that's the gift and the
get
girth.
so attached to my opinions. Like,
It's not just your opinions, it's a lot of people.
Anybody who has some like
my shitty opinions. Why are you like, why do people get so attached to them?
But it's the gift and the curse, right? Like, you can't pick and choose what people gravitate towards. You put out a
Yeah,
song,
but
you want
people
them to like
can.
that.
People can choose, you know.
I feel like these 2 points are really important to touch on in the beginning, and you do see this throughout the interview though, because we don't really get that many interviews with Azealia Banks. This interview was pretty much one of the only interviews she's done in the past 5 years, which was why it was really exciting for me to revisit this, even though I've watched this interview probably 2 or 3 times, because you do get a lot of insight into why she's able to justify some of the things she does and says, which were the 2 points that I just mentioned. Despite the serious conversation about why are you saying these things, why do you feel this way, around the 18 to 25 minute mark is when we get 2 things in particular that were sort of viral moments in their own right. The first thing is the Bussy soap, which is her soap that we're gonna talk about. And the second thing is Chicken Gate, which I mentioned earlier in this video.
Both of us have been accused of skin bleaching though.
We're bleaching
No, we're
siblings.
I don't know if you guys know much about Charlamagne, but he has been accused of bleaching in the past. His skin is very, what I would consider opaque. It's a hue that's a little ashy, but it's ashy because it looks like it has been chemically altered, if that makes sense. I've seen a few people in my life who have bleached their skin a little bit too intensely, probably on purpose, and it does come across a different hue, so it just looks completely unnatural.
Oh, original bleaching girl, if you're rubbing out the cream. Envy's looking at you like,
You think he's bleaching?
Charlamagne's bleaching.
I've never bleached.
Original bleaching girl. That's how Charlamagne and I bonded.
Back during a period of time when Azealia was blacklisted, she started her brand Cheapy XO to market bleaching soaps. The soaps were originally geared towards people who wanted a more even skin tone, but somehow, someway, somewhere, she decided to pivot her marketing more towards gays and people who wanted to brighten and tighten their buttholes. The soaps are still available online on her website, Cheapy XO. I'm not affiliated or anything like that, but if you're interested, go out there and bleach your butthole. Now, I mentioned Chicken Gate earlier, and it essentially is where Azealia Banks got on Instagram one day and decided to show the world that she had been sacrificing chickens in her closet in the name of black magic. If you were not there during this time of social media, you are so lucky, because this is something that I honestly cannot unsee. I don't recommend, trigger warning for animal cruelty, you to go and look up these photos or these videos if you have a weak stomach, or if maybe you're gonna eat some sort of meat for dinner or something like that, because it's truly jarring, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning, to see the level of blood and how it has died on the floor. Not the chickens, but the level of the dye of the blood that has soaked through the floor. It is truly jarring and something that I don't think I will ever be able to get out of my head. Now, I'm not going to include actual photos just because I don't want to be flagged for that purpose, but I will talk about her quotes from that Instagram story. Azealia started off her post by saying, "Guys, you know I've got to scrape all of this shit up as blood is shown all over the walls." And then she goes on to say, quote, "I've got my sandblaster, my goggles, it's about to go down," she says, as she's wearing protected eyewear. Real witches do real things. So she was saying all of this as the camera was sort of panning to her, and also the chicken blood that was dried all over the walls, all over the floor. She did not have to convince anyone that something was sacrificed in there. You could clearly see there was a lot of things that were running around that closet. For clarity, she said in a tweet that black people are naturally born seers, diviners, witches, and wizards. We have real supernatural powers, and the sooner we all learn to cultivate them and access them, the sooner we can all really fix shit. She began practicing black magic back in 2015, And she was inspired, or she got the idea from her mother, who also practices white table magic. As you may expect, she received extreme backlash from this, not only from regular people on the internet, because regular people are going to backlash, girl. Regular people are going to cancel you, whether you like it or not. But she also received backlash from animal activists and PETA. Charlamagne asked her about this around the 17-minute mark, but then quickly pivots after she gives him this look.
So, do you still do it? Jesus Christ, don't look at me like that. I don't know if you're putting something on me.
After this is when they really begin to put her feet to the fire, and they start asking her about beefs that she's had with other artists. It's during this part where you really see and realize that Azealia has this standard for art and music, as I mentioned earlier. She called Cardi B an untalented, illiterate rat.
Did you call Cardi B illiterate, what was it, untalented rat?
I did.
And her justification for this was because of the way that Cardi B was dragging down music. During this time, she felt like the world, rightfully so, was focused on Beyonce's Lemonade and the conversations surrounding infidelity and marriage. This was a time, I don't know if you remember, but Beyonce was sort of pushing the idea of being vulnerable in music, dropping music basically out of nowhere with no press or anything like that. And it truly was, I believe, during my generation, a pivotal time in music. And she felt like the attention was being brought more towards Cardi and less Beyonce.
Understand how we go from Beyonce and Lemonade and Solange and all of these like great conversations, Black Lives Matter, all these conversations to like this.
Well, black women aren't monolithic though either, right?
I know we're not monolithic, but come on.
And you used to like Cardi B.
I used to.
They had a video of you in the club going crazy to vote at Yellow.
I was really drunk that night.
They also asked her about her comments about Trump and her support for him.
Said to her, she was one of the first people vocally, that was probably black that I remember, that spoke out in support of Trump, but she actually had reasons.
But it was more so just about the tax break. You know, the American dream is it rests on a systematically oppressed underclass. You know, wouldn't you want to get a couple extra like $30,000 back on your tax return? Like, you're getting fucked either way.
Which also resulted in her feuding with Lana Del Rey, which is one of the weirdest random beefs that I've ever seen, and one of the best quotes that I've ever seen come from Lana Del Rey. Lana Del Rey infamously quoted during the beef, "You know the addy, pull up anytime, say it to my face, but if I were you, I wouldn't. I won't not fuck you the fuck up, period." Now, not to focus too much on Trump, because honestly, this is not the channel for that, but I do want to say it's interesting to note her support for Trump was also a time where she drug Rihanna into the mix for some reason, because she wanted to question Rihanna's citizenship, and her support for Trump somehow had something to do with that. She did not comment on whether she voted for him or not. This is another example of Charlamagne just sort of letting her off because I guess they're girlfriends.
One of the people that could say I made a mistake voting.
Well, she didn't vote.
Yo, you didn't vote for him, did you? Did you vote for him?
Okay.
Don't look at me,
girl. Now, you also said.
But she did say that she no longer supported him after he became president because he had cheapened the presidency.
When he became president, she changed her tune.
Yeah, because it's like, all right, Trump, like, you're just cheapening the presidency now. You're just, you know what I mean? Like, now you're just being sloppy.
Now, another drama that she infamously was in, and one that I had completely forgot about, was her drama with Russel Crowe. Now, this came as a result of an argument on the set of a movie that they were shooting. Azealia discussed how the media and the director RZA, who is also black, focused more on her and what she did during the argument and less about what Russel Crowe's role in it was. Now, Azealia has alleged that Russel Crowe spit on her.
Okay, so you're saying that Mr. Crowe hurled racial slurs against you and choked you and spit on you.
Yeah.
And this is something that RZA denied at first, who is the director, and then he ultimately apologized to Azealia for and backed up her claims later on. So Azealia felt like she was sort of pinned in a corner by everyone on the set and everyone that was involved because they were able to buy the tapes, because they were able to agree with Russel Crowe.
Watch the TMZ testimonies, they're all conflicting stories. Basically, everybody was down to lie on Russell's behalf.
She felt like this sort of was an example of what she's faced throughout her entire career, where people sort of disregard what happened to her in the situation and they focus more on what she's done because of maybe her way of handling the situation. She felt like RZA really betrayed her because as a black man and as her friend originally, he should have had her back, especially because allegedly he saw Russell Crowe spit on her.
It's like not somebody that I need to attach myself to, you know? I'm strong enough on my own. And when it comes to things like that, when you have a label boss, then it's like, you know, he's gonna be the one like leading me and he's gonna be my representative. I can't be represented by like some chump.
So she talked very extensively about RZA and how he had basically lost them a bunch of money.
Like, you fucking idiot, you know? It was really just stupid. And just to kind of see someone that I thought to be like this wise guru do something so stupid, and like we like RZA and I were the only ones who suffered. You get what I mean? Russell Crowe was the one who choked me, spat at me, you know, a little bit lands on me, like you choke me off, throw me outside the fucking room, and he gets to fucking walk off scot-free. And here's me and RZA arguing out loud, you know, fucking up both of our reputations for this shit that he did.
He was allegedly coked out. They had to actually make her say allegedly, which is hilarious. She should know that. But he was allegedly coked out and they couldn't do the soundtrack together. T everywhere. It was really sad to hear that no one came to her rescue or no one supported her during this time, because you can tell that it really affected her.
What the fuck are you doing?
Let's talk about Azealia's comments to Charlamagne about Lil Mama and Cassie. Now, for those of you guys who are not familiar with Charlamagne or not familiar with these situations, Charlamagne does have a very pointed character.
Father was a crackhead, right?
Well, he was. He's doing good now. He's sober now. But it's crazy.
It's all about experience.
That's what
he will basically back you into a corner, but in a jokingly way. And then all of a sudden just stop and then let everyone pivot to a different conversation. He can be very persistent with a lot of his comments, and a lot of the things that he says are polarizing. So Lil Mama and Cassie have definitely been at the brunt of these conversations. He infamously made Lil Mama cry.
They hear you talk in interviews. They don't want to hear you talk on the radio. They want to hear it through your music. That's the only way you're going to get to people.
And that's all I'm saying.
And it's one of the things that people do remember Charlamagne for.
Really?
You used to be really fucking rude. And if I'm gonna be honest with you, the reason I like started a problem with you is because of when you made Lil Mama cry. Like, I feel like every black girl in the world like hated you in that fucking moment. Like, you just kept going in on her. Like, she was telling you that her mom had just passed. You kept going in.
No, I stopped after
and then you were calling her ugly. Like, Lil Mama's fucking gorgeous.
I never called her ugly.
You were like, you look like a 40-year-old man.
you did say that.
You did. You fucking piece of shit.
You did say she looked like
that was
Bow
8
Wow.
years ago.
But it was horrible.
It was.
And he basically said about Cassie that she'll probably only ever be known as a side bitch.
But vocally, I saw you sing live one time, and I was like, yo, she sucks.
Right.
And then
I had a moment.
And then I started hearing all the rumors about you sleeping with Diddy, so I said to myself, that's how she got on.
Azealia Banks called him out for this and just talked about how he was wrong for it.
You were like, oh, how do you feel knowing that you'll always be a hoe? Always be a side bitch.
That was 12 years ago.
But it was ugly.
And Cassie still don't fuck with him because of that.
Yeah. I wouldn't fuck with you either.
That was 12 years ago, Azealia.
Now, just to end the interview, Azealia did comment on how she has been taken advantage of in Hollywood and how she used to date a 50-year-old man who was the manager of Coldplay.
Because he was a grown-ass man.
I know. I was like 17 dating some fucking like 50-year-old white guy.
Wasn't he like the manager of like
disgusting
One Direction or something?
No, Coldplay.
Coldplay.
Now that I look back on it, I'm just like, ugh, it's like disgusting. Like I can like taste his like old like wrinkly neck.
The reason why I chose this interview, I think this does provide us with a lot of insight into why Azealia Banks has said the things that she said and why she has done some of the things that she's done. Now, we will never, ever, ever get to the real meat and the potatoes of why she is the way she is, because obviously childhood trauma, life trauma, mental health, all of that is complicated. It's complex. We will never ever truly have the real answers, But I think this interview does help to color in some of that picture. She's very smart, she's very intelligent, she's very particular with some of the questions, especially in this interview that she answers. If she does not want to answer a question, she's sort of just looks at Charlamagne in a dismissive way.
I don't know if you put something on me just now. What was that? What was that look you gave me just now?
It's these moments that I feel like really do remind me about how smart she is. And I don't think it's media training. I think it's her truly being able to think on her feet and maybe think ahead as to whether she wants a certain conversation to be her narrative. During this interview, Charlamagne really did give her a lot of grace to do that. I do sort of blame Charlamagne in a lot of ways, especially because while they were giggling and being cutesy and cunty, we didn't get to the bottom of the situation. We didn't get to the bottom of a lot of the questions. I don't know about you, but I want to know some of those things. I don't blame Azealia for having the intellect to avoid these questions, especially as she's on The Breakfast Club to promote her music and maybe to give her a little bit more publicity and correct some of the things that she said. She comes across as super intelligent on her Twitter, on Instagram. In these interviews, there were so many moments where I was like, girl, she's got it. Like, she understands the way the world works. But when it comes to using some of that intellect to take a step back and maybe walk back some of the things that she said, even after she has been like, yeah, I don't know, I shouldn't have said that. It's just strange to me. There is some sort of a disconnect there. There's some sort of an unsatisfaction that I feel like I get, and I'm a fan of hers, and I'm sure the critics get as well.
She knows what she's doing,
Right.
but she won't stop doing it. I think she's.
What is there
now.
to stop doing? What have I really done?
Well,
what have I actually really done?
She's different than a lot of artists. A lot of artists can tell you a lot of things in interviews, and they'll constantly say things in the media that just make no sense. They have no sort of frame of thought of what's actually going on in the real world. And this is different with Azealia Banks. Think, for example, Lil Wayne's comments on Black Lives Matter.
On Black Lives Matter.
What is it? What do you mean? It just sounds weird. I didn't know that you put a name on it. That man white, he filming me. I don't know what you mean, man. Don't come at me with that dumb man.
Azealia Banks does not give that. She gives intellect. But for some reason, she's not able to give intellect when it comes to maybe apologizing. I do want to say Azealia Banks has basically every right to say whatever she wants, but I don't think she should be surprised if she gets blackballed or blacklisted in Hollywood.
Well, you blacklisted. Why'd you say why weren't they booking you for shows?
Because I don't fucking know, because I probably pissed off the wrong people.
That's usually how it works.
That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
Even the most talented people, right? The Kanyes, the Mel Gibsons, they will not probably be held accountable in that exact moment when they do something like Azealia does. But eventually the world will get tired of complaining about them, and then they will outright be blackballed or canceled. I do believe that Hollywood does cancel women a lot faster than they do men. I feel like men can get chance after chance, go to prison, come out of prison, go to prison, and then come back, have a worldwide tour, and then go to prison again when we decide, okay, maybe we should cancel this person. I feel like women, it takes one sex tape, or it takes them basically not looking good that day for Hollywood to say, she's not in anymore. She's canceled. She's blackballed. She didn't really do the media tour that we wanted her to, so she's blackballed in Hollywood. But I don't really know how much of this double standard applies to Azealia when you consider how many people she truly has beefed with. The number is staggering. So at what point do we really have that conversation? I don't know, maybe it's another topic for another video. In my opinion, Azealia Banks is not misunderstood. She has said a lot of things, she's done a lot of things that are unforgivable. You have to stand on the things that you say, especially when you have a platform. I know you have the First Amendment, you have freedom of speech, you can say and do whatever you want to, but as we've seen time and time again, your actions do have consequences. The things you say have consequences. With the intellect that she has, she should understand that. Something tells me that she does understand it, but She thinks that what she has to say is more important than her being canceled and being blackballed.
I can do and say whatever the fuck I feel.
Yeah, and I'm trying to help you.
But like, help me do what?
Help you make people focus on your message in your music and not just 140 characters on fucking Twitter.
Well, then that's their problem. That's your problem. You know what I mean? That's your problem. You're picking and choosing. Listen, I talk about and it's so funny because I talk about so many different things on my Twitter. You know what I mean? Y'all niggas pick and choose what y'all want to see. You know what I mean?
So I don't feel bad for her. I don't feel sorry for her. I do believe that she has not been misunderstood. I do believe, though, she has a lot of knowledge and we should at least hear her out in certain circumstances and certain situations. Just to hear her stories about how she was sort of backed into a corner in situations where she was sort of in the right was really wrong to hear. But this happens time and time again in Hollywood, where you sort of build this reputation and then everybody just sort of turns their back on you and doesn't really want to listen to you, even in situations where you're right. Yet again, she just basically told DC Young Fly that it's karma, that his wife died because of his comments about her. I don't know what to do. I feel like every other day it is so hard to be a fan of Azealia Banks' music. I'm freaking out right now. I don't know what to say. Anyways, guys, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to drop down in the comments below and let me know your opinions, your thoughts. I love talking about these topics and having these conversations. Don't forget on your way out to like and subscribe. I make videos every single week about pop culture. La 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 la. Something tells me I will be talking to you guys very, very soon. I'm so tired. I gotta go. All right, bye guys.